So nothing makes sense. So take all of these words and descriptions really lightly. But it did kind of feel like there was a peeling away of layers and layers, layers and layers of accumulated knowing, solidity, opinions, beliefs, good, bad, right, wrong, layers and layers of fear. And so it took a lot of apparent time to have those things emerge. Um, Sometimes you could really feel the fakeness of it, like the ways in which the body acts in order to protect itself, to avoid feeling the fear, avoid admitting that I need this to be my way in order to feel safe. And I felt like what helped here was to really see the innocence of it. Like it wasn't in anyone's control. It's not like I wanted to be in fear. It's not like I wanted to control these things. It just appeared that way. And I could see why a whole lifetime of viewing something a certain way, needing it to be a certain way, it's like habituated in the body. It's very familiar. It's the only thing that's known. So it was kind of like both. You could feel the pretend in it. You could feel the trying and the effortfulness and the exhaustion of desperately trying to make it my way. But then you could also see that it's just not in your control. And on top of that, the body is actually going through so much, like constant change, actually, because it's sort of seeing things a lot more clearly and energetically releasing certain things. And it's kind of landing in a new normal, a new way of functioning. And then there can be another round of a different layer of fear or similar, maybe just a deeper layer. And then, it can add to frustration because it's like, oh, like when can I just settle? Um, Not all the time. And at a certain point, it became nice that things were easily revealed. Things were easily seen as, oh, this is tight. There's some sort of sense of control here. And I could easily feel it and see it and simultaneously know that I'm not, it's not by choice. But the body is now more accustomed to the unknown and it knows that all there is more peace and rest when that fear is seen more clearly, when it's allowed to be here, like finally allowed to be here. Because what that energy of personal control is doing is avoiding and suppressing and unable to fully live because it's desperately fear of death, fear of a lot of things. But I think at the root of it, it's the fear of its own death. And so that's why the mind is never settled. It's always trying to figure out, where can I stay safe? How can I stay safe? How can I manipulate the environment? How can I make this body act in order to be more liked, more appreciated, more loved, more accepted, blend in more, don't stand out, blend in with the crowd, say what everyone else is saying, do what everyone else is doing. And I could see back then, like back when I was a kid, it was fine to do that. But later on, as an adult, just in the story, it felt more and more fake. But I was still able to do it, even though it still felt off. But I think over time, it can come to a point where the pretending hurts too much. It's seen more and more as fakeness, and not in a mean, judgmental way, because you know that it's just happening if it's happening. But you simultaneously see, like, I don't want to live like that anymore. I just don't. I don't want to keep pretending to be something that I'm not. I don't want to constantly try to appear a certain way. And so, anyways, going through all of the apparent layers, there is a clarity that reveals itself. The body feels clear, the body feels unburdened, not twisted, not manipulated, not, and I use all these words really lightly. It doesn't mean anything, it's not bad. It's just, you could see and sense the personal energy a lot more clearly when it's completely gone here. You could see the deep suffering that's in everyone, but they don't really know it. You could see that there's a mountain of fear guiding that body. It is living in fear, total fear, but it doesn't know it. So, in a way, it's fine. It's not that saving needs to happen or anything like that, but it's just more obvious. And I don't even really get sad anymore. Like all the personal emotions, I thought it was alarming when it was diminishing, but now, yeah, it just is what it is. It's very neutral. And there is something indescribable that is here, that is powerful. And it's not personal at all. So it feels like no matter what happens in life, circumstantially, like it's like this, it's like little changes happening. But then there's this huge background of everything, and it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. But it's really clear that this body had to empty out in order to see that clearly, because otherwise you're just mimicking. You're again trying to pretend to not have personal emotions or not react, or it's all pretend again. So, yeah, at a certain point, this can feel like hell. This can feel like you're losing everything. It can just feel sad, like the most horrible thing that can happen to you. And then it can change to just like, it's fine. I can see I didn't really need that stuff anyways. That created a lot of clutter in the mind, in the body. And it's nice that I could just sit and do nothing more easily. It's not effortful anymore. It's more primary now. Then it can go deeper where all of the definitions start to fall away. All of the knowing of what a normal human body does, how it functions, how it has a healthy life, even that can diminish. And there's even more freedom. And so that's kind of where, all of the experts and authorities out there who are saying things from a place of knowing and arrogance and fear through their own agenda, motivations, you kind of can't trust the words because it's coming from a lot of knowing. So even though everything is unknown, all words have no meaning when it comes from arrogance. Um, it's really misleading. And it's just obvious. It doesn't matter because everyone else is doing it as well. I'm not excusing it, but that's just how the human body seems to function sometimes. Well, it's the most common way of functioning, unless this happens. Yeah, so it's kind of crazy to see that this awakening that people are talking about, it's still a person claiming that they're awake in the dream. And this is completely different. This is waking up from the entire dream, and no one wakes up. No one is here remaining to claim that I am awake now. It's a disappearance. It's not knowing anything. It's not needing anything. It's not owning anything. So I just said a lot of gibberish and it doesn't matter. It's not important. It sounds like a massive story. But I think it's nice to describe it because not many people do. And I do think with a little bit of guidance, a little bit of reassurance that just let it come up. Let the fear be here. It's not a problem. It won't kill you. Underneath is just more freedom. Staying on top of it is the thing that makes it convincing that you still have to control. So I don't know what happened this past like month or so, but everything got flipped inside out and it felt really gentle, but also massive. Like everything just got flipped upside down. And I just saw the dream so clearly. And it was a little bit shocking for the body. There were times it wasn't intense, but there were times where I just wanted to throw up. Because it allowed for more to just like process and release and things were seen more clearly and I could see that I know that this is just how it is, but it was a shame that Suzanne blamed herself so harshly for everything, for the way that she felt. Yeah, blamed herself for everything. Um, but you see that as long as you're, seemingly born into this society where they just, you're just brainwashed. You can't help but be indoctrinated and it becomes you. And you can't help but act in certain ways that are really harmful for the body toward others. And again, this is just the way it is, but everyone is telling you that it is your fault, that you can do better, that you should be able to do better, that you should be able to fit in. And it's not anyone's fault, you know? Like, as long as you are the dream, that's your reality. So you don't know any better. You keep others in the dream. You can't help but do that. Yeah. And then it's just a strange thing because there was never anyone there, you know? Like none of it really happened. And so that's really strange as well. The only thing my friend said to me a month ago was like, welcome to the other side. And I was just saying, like, how did you speak to me for this long? How did you not tell me? He's like, it just didn't matter. And it'll be clear when it's clear. Like, you can't convince anyone. There's no point. But it's quite stunning on the other side. And I could see how it doesn't have to be harsh. Like it didn't seem like it was very harsh here. Yeah, if you'd like to interact, you're welcome to raise your hand. And yeah, if anything, I'd like to allow people to feel comfortable to just really be where they are because it doesn't matter. You don't have to be any other way. Hi, Clee.
Hey,
Good to see you.
good to see you too. So good to see you too. I just started to try and turn you up, really trying to turn myself up. Turn myself up.
You want to hear yourself better?
Oh, that's funny. Oh, oh, when you said the last month, there's been a lot going. Yeah, I mean, I almost don't know anyone in my life who hasn't had a lot of movement, especially people around me who are in the work, whatever that means. There's been a lot. There's been a lot. And this, as I say it, I don't want to say it. I don't want to say the same thing again. There's this judgment of like, oh, it's the same thing happening now as last time, and this keeps being here. That's bad and wrong. And the thing is being bad and wrong, being wrong, being wrong, being like just it's almost pointless saying it because I know because it doesn't do anything or it doesn't change anything and I've said it before, so what else is there to say? But it's just so there. It's just so there. And some moments it's bigger and like I can't do anything. I was feeling like this last week. I went for a walk in town and I swear I spent about half an hour trying to work out what hot drink I could drink because everything I thought was wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Drink coffee, that sends me crazy. I'll have a tea. No, that's not good too. Water's not good at places. Or the milk and and I honestly, I could sort of I saw it happening, but also not. It was very just real. It was just there was no getting it right. There was no way out. There was no breathing through it. There was no technique. Like
I
no.
know.
It
Yeah.
becoming so much clearer in these moments of my own triggers, these moments where it just comes up, or watching other people. It's like this idea of choice and control is completely obviously bollocks. Like when you're triggered, you're just fucking triggered. There's breathe. No.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's just chaos, right? Nothing, you can't really do anything about it. Yeah. Yeah, and I want to validate that you're not doing anything wrong or you can't prevent it or suppress it or like make it go away. It's just there if it's there.
And I feel like I'm about to out myself, and I really don't want to. Oh,
Oh, we love you, Clee.
I I started a YouTube, started making videos and posting them on YouTube. And I've wanted to do that for ages. And a friend who is on this call, um, I was talking to her about it and just hearing her, it was like, okay, I'm going to go and do it now. And I just recorded something, uploaded it. Cool. And I've noticed this sneaking thing that's like, oh, I'm good because I post stuff on YouTube.
Mhm.
I know things. I know things. I know more than other people. And like this specialness and this betterness that I can't control. And I see so clearly that it's the other side of the wrongness. Like, how do I avoid being wrong? By being special, by being someone.
Beautiful.
And I really want it. Like, I really want to be special.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know.
But I'm also really afraid of being special because if I'm special, then inevitably someone doesn't think I'm special.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's no winning in that. But you're right. Like it's everyone wants to be special, but yeah, it's impossible actually to be special.
And then it gets really meta. And I walk around thinking, I know that I want to be special, and I'm special because I'm aware that I want to be special.
I know, yeah. Yeah, it's never ending.
It's really, really, really never ending. And there's been so much the last few days, like sensations in my throat and back of my neck. There's just, I've not been able to get rid of it. It's just so uncomfortable all the time. There's definitely gratitude that I have found a way to not suffer where suffering would happen before. There is less suffering around the same moments and the same sensations, which does feel a bit like relief.
Mm, yeah.
And then specialness because I'm suffering less. So I must have done something right, right? I must be better than others because I suffer less. And therefore, that's what I can tell people how to do.
Yeah, I get it. It's around everything, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
There's just no way out.
No. Yeah, and the body's really exacerbated right now because it's gonna have a lot of stuff coming up. It's gonna be scary and unknown. It's gonna be questionable. And then there is this hyper awareness of the this means you're bad. This means you failed again. Or, oh, great. I'm good.
And there are different stretch stretches of time, let's say, like phases where I feel I even use language differently. When I feel really identified, I, me. But when there is less identification, I speak. I'm like, just here. This is what's here. I'm just like, oh, that's here. This is here. Cool. That has just been like, there is no, there is a me. There is a like the last week or two. There, it's like got worse. I've gone back to a deeper identification, which is not pleasant.
Yeah, which is also not true, but I get what you're saying. It can just feel stronger. Um, I do feel like it's just gonna oscillate and it's not really gonna make sense. And sometimes you'll feel more like a contracted, tight, controlling thing than ever before. And it's highly uncomfortable.
Yeah, really, really uncomfortable. I saw my dad yesterday in my home, my childhood home, and for the first time, it didn't feel like me going home. And someone else, my brother's friend, is staying in what was my room, and There was no space that was just mine there. It was just this house that I knew really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
And walking around the village I grew up in and it changing so much. Just, oh, I don't I don't know this. And then getting all these triggers and reminders of moments and phases in my life that I'd completely forgotten about. And I had this, oh gosh, I saw my dad and immediately I'm mad, I'm angry, I'm trying to make him wrong. He's trying to prove me wrong. We're like just going at it. My husband's sitting to the side, kind of just watching, keeping shit. And I could feel it and I knew what was happening, but there was I didn't know what else to say other than a challenge. I didn't know what to do other than challenge him, everything he said. So irritated. And it was on the tip of my tongue to talk about it as well, to actually talk to him about what was going on. But that's as far as it came.
Mm.
And I had this moment where I remembered being a kid and being really excited when my dad would come home from work. And then feeling really sad because I don't remember the last time I actively wanted to see my dad. I don't know. I don't remember when it stopped. When seeing my dad was no longer safe and yay, he's here. But ugh.
Mm.
And I'd honestly forgot that I'd ever felt that way, that I'd felt that he was safe. Yeah, it's a big one because I even as I talk about this, I can feel myself dissociating and just like, no.
Oh, I thought you described it really beautifully. There's a lot of confusion. Um, I think especially with the parent-child relationship, it's just I think there's so much that we weren't able to see clearly. And so the body is processing like a lot of that stuff.
I can see just how busy my mind is and the trying to fix myself and other people. I get very good at analyzing people. So good, so good, so good that I just I can lose myself in it, whatever that means. There's just a lot of that can happen.
Yeah, I might want to encourage you to not get too stuck on some of the um, typical terms that you might be exposed to just because it doesn't fully pertain to this. I do think that it can be helpful in uncovering some of the things that we couldn't look at the time. That stuff I think is good if it comes up, but the labeling of this is actually who they are and how they were is not really true. Like everyone is inevitably, they can only see themselves in you. They can only want what they want in you, if that makes sense. Like even if they think that I know what's right for you, it's through their own perception. It's through their own filter. They can't know what's good for you. So, even in just that description, it's well-meaning, but it is from the self. It is a self-projection, and therefore twistedness arises everywhere.
And I feel that it feels icky to say it, to talk about it. There's feels like there's a truth to it, but because it maybe because it feels good to say what feels true or something, there's authentic expression, but at the same time, it feels like stories because there isn't an end. I can talk about it forever, and there is no doesn't make me feel better. It doesn't stop. The story is the story is the story.
Yeah. Because you can't really fix anything. Because what you're trying to fix is also just a label, which is also not absolutely true.
My mum asked me, and it's weird because I've been thinking about it. She said, how would you feel if dad died now, this week? Like, and there would obviously be a lot of sadness. And I can't know. There's no way of knowing. But there's also this some okayness as well. My mum, they're divorced. She cares deeply about him and tries to fix him. Do this, do that, do this, do that. And I see where it's sweet. She cares. She really loves him still. Um, but sometimes I get caught. There's this gets caught up in that too. Like if only he would just da 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 da. Then what? I would feel better. My mum would feel better. What's this for? Why does he need to feel better in order for me to feel better? Like, no, if maybe he'll die miserable, but that would be sad, sure, but like, okay. And then stories of okay, then he would be out of his misery. Well, there's no he to be out of his misery. It's just there or not there.
The person can never be out of their own misery because they're just going in a loop. So you can fix the problem, but it will emerge again.
You're right. I see him through it, and I think you should do this. You should do this. But I realized recently, like, there's no therapist, no practice that I can send him to and make him do whatever that means to to change it. That's my perspective, and I allowed myself to kind of go down that rabbit hole. Okay, what would really help him? You know him so well. What does he need to do? Just to like see if I could find the answer. Like really, really. Like and then I was like, I don't have all the information because I'm not him. I'm not there. So how could I possibly? It doesn't. That just completely just wouldn't work. He also doesn't like being told what to do. So it was, but that was you. It's kind of useful to go down that rabbit hole and be like, oh yeah, like no, just it, like utterly doesn't work. I want this. I want him to be a different way because there is, I think, that suffering is end of suffering is going to end the suffering here. But I know that's not going to work because I look around the world and there's lots of suffering, and I can't end everyone's suffering.
Yeah. Also, I think what I've found is that it's okay if you take action sometimes, even though you know it's not really going to fix anything. Sometimes it can help release something.
Mm.
Meaning, like, if you really feel like telling him something would actually benefit him, and also knowing that he is free to not take it.
Yeah. Yeah. As you say that, and it's like I think about that, it feels something about authentic expression. Not that you can ever do anything other than what feels authentic at the time, but something about just doing the thing. Just do the thing, or don't do the thing, but just feels more free and open.
Yeah. Like either way, it's okay. If you say something, it's okay. If you don't, it's okay.
Mm. I agree. I don't feel that. My mind's like, but there must be one. One must be better than.
I mean, it really is, regardless, it will be okay because if it keeps nagging at you, eventually you might come to feel like, okay, I should just say something. Meaning like if you don't do it now, you you know, do it later. Doesn't matter.
It really doesn't matter. Do it now, do it later, don't do it.
Yeah. Do you want to say what you would like to say to him? You don't have to, but
Mm. It's so hard. There's such a confusion of anger and guilt and fear of him freezing, and then that being my fault. Like how he feels being my fault, and him and again him not being able to hear me. Sometimes I just want to like, you can't hear me. I want to scream. I want to scream in his face. I want to scream so he can't not hear me. I want to, and I think sometimes maybe that's why I push him. That's why I disagree. Like, just give me some feeling. Feel something. Where are you? I want to scream in his face. Where the fuck are you? I haven't seen you in 20 years. Where are you? I don't know where you are. I don't know who this is. Cry, scream, shout at me. I don't even care. I just want to feel some part of you that's not this hidden, frozen, tiny little boy that
mm.
I'm supposed to take care of, that I don't want to take care of.
You feel like he doesn't feel anything, like he can't really express what's actually going on.
Not really. He he sugarcoats it. Just even when he has started to express, I've noticed I feel frozen when. I've noticed I really don't like conflict. No shit, Sherlock. Yes, that is. I know, and there's part of me that's like, oh my god, thank God he sees that. But he's just been numb. It's just this numbness. and I'm just bored of trying to tiptoe around it. He's a scared little boy. But he's 60. And sometimes I don't know who I'm talking to when I'm talking to him. I don't know, he's 60 and he's capable of mostly capable of managing his life. He's a man, but I just don't know who I'm talking. I don't know, and it shifts so fast from I can take care of myself and you can tell me what I want you to tell me what you think to these frozen eyes that I can't shout at. I can't be angry at that. It's not fair.
So usually what happens in the human body is that we get so stuck in a certain way of being. And sometimes when we've suppressed something for way too long, it's really out of our sphere of anything. Um, so it literally is frozen energy. You know, when I felt like my mom was kind of like that, I didn't plan it, but I think in moments where I could tell that she was avoiding the feeling, I would I would kind of point back to her like, what's actually just here?
Mm,
Like not in the thought, not in the what are you going to do next to fix this in the storyline, like what's actually just here. Because the most people can't function that way.
mm,
They're only living in the story. They have no idea what's going on here.
mm.
But I understand the feeling of like he should know better by now, you know? I totally get it. You're not wrong in feeling that way. You're probably super frustrated after years and years of, and you probably told him many, many times. And so I get it. But I did sense that when I went through this myself, it was coming from a different place. So even though I said it before, it was coming from a different place. And I think that, yeah, for some reason it felt different. So I don't want you to feel hopeless in that way because this is different.
The fact that I could sit in front of him and I nearly said something. I was so close to say something closer than I've ever been. And I've said things before, but I was furious, but I was giving 50% of my anger. And I also maybe didn't have the awareness of the whole of what's going on. It was just anger coming out. I could see the anger. I could be conscious and aware of like I feel angry, but I couldn't also say there's also guilt, and I also really love you, and I miss you, and I'm fucking fuming at the same time, and it's not fair, and I'm so afraid of saying it's not fair. That's all a lot more obvious to me now.
Yeah. That was all really beautifully described. That's all allowed to be here. It all makes sense.
And as I noticed all the different parts to it, I I can see I it makes sense to me. And the more it makes sense to me, the more it's allowed. Not at him necessarily, but here. I'm like, of course I'm angry. Of course I'm angry. Of course I'm angry. Of course I'm guilty of feeling this way. And it's makes it scary because it rises more. The more it's okay, the more it's okay.
Mm, yeah. I've also noticed that since no one will really understand why you're able to feel everything and so aware of it, so able to like articulate it, they're not there, you know? They're just kind of like dipping their toe. um so yeah, you don't have to express all of that to him. You can let it burn there as you're there with him, but yeah, he won't be able to meet you where you are.
I hate that. Oh, and it's so ridiculous that I expect him to. I as now I'm looking, it's ridiculous. Of course, I can't expect him to meet me there. But I but there's this indignant little girl in me that's like, why not?
Yeah, and I think we need to like hold that little girl. Like she's allowed to feel that way. It doesn't even make sense to say she. It's just an energy, you know? Like you're totally allowed to feel that way. It makes complete sense. And then you also know that he won't be able to meet you where you are. And it's sad. Like those kind of things that you just described, it broke my heart that I still couldn't be met. I still couldn't be seen. And it's sad that he can't see all the work that you've done, but you know, here in this space it's recognized, like the amount of vulnerability, the amount of just being honest about what's there. It takes so much to get there, you know?
I think I attached the on it honest is right. At some point I attached it's good and right and not wrong when I'm honest. So the more honest and truthful I can be, the better I am. So I think there's like, which has helped me in whatever, like it's helped me, whatever. It's that's still moving together. Two stories are kind of together, and at some point, I guess they're both stories anyway. They'll all fall away. But I also noticed like truth is always the correct thing.
Yeah,
And I've played in the last few months, I think, just small, but with like lying. I mean, like lying is allowed too. Truth is not. Truth is also a story.
exactly.
And it's all like meshed up. Like I'm good when I tell the truth. I'm better than. I'm special because I'm really good at being honest and finding my truth. Look at me go. But also, it's all real. It's also those are the things that are there, and there is a release, or it is nice. There's a niceness to be like, oh, that is what's there. It's confusing when like the thing that is pulling me forward is this truth, like this truth seeking is also connected to the thing that makes me feel so shit.
Yeah.
And the trying to fix and the self-analysis has me really understand a lot of what's going on, because there's the pattern of working things out helps me make sense of things. Like you said earlier, there's a fine line, there's a you understanding but not going too deep into that world of understanding everything and stories, and he did this and I did this and I feel
Well, you're free to do anything you want. I feel like I did that as well, but I also knew that it wasn't really true.
yeah, yeah,
Sometimes I really did feel like I needed to go down that route as many times as I needed to in order to let it go, in order to see that there was no solution in that. There was no end to it. There was no resolve. It just made my head hurt.
literally making my yeah.
Because you're never going to fix yourself and the person in a story. It's not real. The feelings are real. Like if they are here, that energy you described of feeling like there's just a little girl that wants to be seen, that is real. That is allowed to be here. That is very understandable. And it's not about being right or good. It's just that we all have that. That's like the root of it all. It's not really about fixing the story. It's that energy that just, it really just wants to be loved. It wants to be accepted. It wants to be able to scream and shout.
Yeah. On the occasion that I share that very like that's the root. I can feel what it is. I can feel just I don't want to be wrong, because when I'm wrong, I don't get to be loved and blah 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 blah. I just want to be seen no matter what I do or what is here or who I am, whatever. People people go, oh, isn't that's sad for you. I'm fine. That sucks for you.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
It makes you feel like, yeah, you're the one not doing making progress, but it's not true.
Maybe I should just copy them, because maybe they're not experiencing it. And I don't know that they are. I don't really know what's going on in them. I don't know.
They're most likely numb to it. It's there, but it's covered up with a lot of stuff. But yeah, how you feel resonates. I remember feeling that way. Like it's better if I just was numb like them, not able to feel this stuff. But um yeah, I think there was a lot of sadness and grief around that because it felt like I was the child, but it was like, no, the body's finally open. It's finally able to feel this stuff. It's finally able to show what was underneath all of the seeking, all of the trying to get outwardly. And it's sad that no one can understand, that no one can see the beauty in that.
I was about to say, and that's why I want to stay in connection with people like you and groups like this. That also immediately is a story. I feel that way, and therefore I want to do da 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 because it will be better. It's like, wow, hang on. No, it's just it just feels sad. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's relatively true that in certain circles, you are more allowed to be the way that you are, and there is less judgment. It feels safer for the moment. But it is also not true that you have to stay here. Like when it's not needed, the body will know, and that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you are really seen here. You're appreciated. We know what it takes to actually just get to that root sense, that raw sense that was always neglected, always abandoned, never allowed to be.
There's still this dream that if I just do, feel that in one breathwork session, then I can let it go.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I remember with this stuff, there were times where I had to accept that maybe this is just how it's going to be.
Yeah. I think I'm there. I think that realization of that's happening because I'm so tired of like trying to work out how to not feel wrong.
Exactly.
Like
Because it doesn't work.
I've got to somehow, there's got to be a peace with the wrongness. And if this is it for my whole life, and okay, it stops me doing X, Y, and Z, and it makes me slow in X, Y, and Z place. Okay, if that's my rest of my life, then how can I just like be okay with that?
Beautiful.
Not being okay with it clearly hasn't worked. And I'm tired. I'm just so tired.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous to hear you say that. I know it's exhausting, but um yeah, when I hear people say that, I'm like, it's really gorgeous. Because that's what it takes. You try everything time and time again, and that feeling is still here.
Yeah.
And it's actually so gorgeous that you cannot hide it and suppress it anymore.
And there are ebbs and flows and moments where I'm like, yeah, but what if I just do that? Then I wouldn't feel wrong. Oh no, 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 no. I felt peace for a bit. I can fight now. No, still not. It really is an ebb and flow, a backwards, forwards, different. There's no clear, obvious path or okay, I'm in flow on in this momentum now. As soon as you think you're in flat flow and momentum of it being let go, it's like, ha, no, actually. There's nothing, there's no consistency.
Yeah, that's beautiful to hear.
Understand, I never have, but the last few years I've been more honest about it. I genuinely don't understand people who are consistent and have commitment about things. Zero understanding.
Yeah.
How? I don't know what I'm going to feel later today. I have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes a lot of constriction and knowing and beliefs and direction and this is right, this is wrong, purpose, meaning, goals. It takes a lot of it to be very certain that that is it.
And then a lot of wrongness with not being able to do that because the world says that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot about this that's the opposite of what seems normal out there. And so, yeah, it's a great way to feel wrong and bad and like you should copy again or try again. Um,
Consistency can happen, but never by choice.
nice.
And when I do try an effort to be consistent or committed, never lasts.
Exactly. I noticed that there could be the appearance of consistency, but just because there was an authentic doing just now, and then it wasn't like a plan, goal oriented, I have to do this. It's just like what wants to happen now? Okay. What wants to happen now? Okay. And then it can appear consistent, but that's not what's happening.
And there are places where I've had that where the idea of being consistent has been let go of completely because I really have tried, and it just doesn't, like, there's just, it's not workable. It makes me miserable if I try, if it just doesn't feel good, and it just doesn't happen eventually. And so when there's been a lot of efforting to go down that space, it's no longer about, well, I should. It's like, it's not possible. I'm not, there's no right or wrong in this. It's just straight not happening. It's just, there's no, oh, but if I pushed a bit harder. No, I pushed as hard and tried to convince myself and written down my why and what's your passion, what's your reason for I've done. I've been in the personal development world. I've done the things. Doesn't work. I know it doesn't work. So that it's like very practical. It's very practical. Doesn't work, not going to try.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the simplicity in how you speak is like it's beautiful.
Feels good to be able to just say the thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I appreciate you, Clee.
I appreciate you too. And everybody else here smiling and nodding, and
Yeah.
really, really lovely to be seen. And yeah,
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, you're really not alone. It's a sad thing. It's a very sad thing. All right. Thanks so much. Mhm. Hi.
Hello,
Good to see you again.
good to see you too. Mhm.
How have you been?
That's a good question. Um, I've been a bit sick with some back problems, and um, um, hmm. Yeah, a lot of strange things happening physically, a lot of body stuff going on, and sometimes I cannot. Some days I can't do almost anything,
Mm.
so I'm just there.
Mhm.
Lying around, or sometimes a bit desperately trying to fill the space with my phone, like, but I can't. It doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't fill it, so it's kind of just like no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes just very irritated, and then not. Yeah.
You said irritated?
Like agitated.
Agitated. Yeah.
This uh, this impulse to do something, but not being able to do anything. Just feeling that impulse to get away, but not being able to really get away. Yeah, there were some very excruciating moments, like kind of a desperate, like the feeling would be like that, but I'm just there, like
Yeah, I get it.
yeah. And then it's just over, or it's gone, and then it's gone, and then something's happening. I'm doing something, or someone's there, or something else is happening, and it's just something else. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't. It's hard to say really what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't know really what's happening. But
And it makes sense with like physical pain. Of course the body's just gonna be like
did you have that too?
physical pain.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of moments where I've had a lot of physical pain and yeah, scared about what it would be, what it is.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. I really thought at the start of it, which was now, well, it's actually been going on for months, but it just culminated in something more acute the last couple of weeks, up to the point where I couldn't really move much. So the whole lower body was, so it did start like that I was not too worried, but there were lots of thoughts about all sorts of things, what it could be. But then somewhere inside, there is a kind of a knowing that it's like to me, it feels like a healing crisis, like something in the body is has opened and something is moving and like banging onto, or like wah, it's like, or like a wound that's like a blister that opens, and then the body has to kind of clean it up or like empty. So just been trying to eat well, sleep as good as I can. It's not easy because I have back keeps me awake, but then trying to take care of myself, and I can, so that's good. I have the opportunity to do it,
Yeah.
to not have to do things.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I often felt like yeah, whenever the body was really in pain and stuff. Yeah. I think deep down I could kind of sense that it was probably a good thing that
Yeah.
something was purging, but it felt
Yeah.
horrible. It felt
Yeah.
worse for the body.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And then, of course, like sometimes worries that is it gonna stay? How long do I have to have this? But I have no control over that. I can only kind of take care, like in the moment what I need and give myself what I need. And it's funny because the pain was so like it came. I have tendentially pushed myself way too hard, being too active, doing too much, and just being too busy. And now it was, as it was culminating, it was like the thought of doing something was like, oh man. I was just, there was no pain. And just the thought of it was like, oh shit. Okay. But it was a real like, so my husband said, oh, you're lucky that you have that. I'm like, I don't, I don't recommend it. Maybe there can be an easier way, but I don't think it's not, it didn't last, but it was really showing me that tensions that are not even physical somehow, some tensions from thoughts or energy that creates pain kind of was not even like a physical contraction, it was just a thought. Crazy stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, really crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that.
It seems to be yeah, the sensitivity to feel that somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sensitivity to feeling that.
The sensitivity, that the sensitivity is there to feel more and more subtle, the subtle energy of something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I feel like there's a real immediacy to what it is. So
yeah.
Yeah. Like there's still a lot of layers before, like if the body got sick, there's still like, all right, I'll get over the sickness and then I'll continue my life later. And I don't know, it's like within a timeline and a story and like you like know what's going on. But here it's just like the body is going through this and you're able to see and feel deeper.
Yeah. Yeah. You're just, something is happening and you're just there with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And all those thoughts about like the timeline and all that, that's kind of peripheral rather. It's more like a waving on the side. It's not important, kind of. It's not, it's happening here. Something is happening here. And it feels a bit like, specifically this feels a bit like, I also got like sudden extreme fatigue, just sudden like extreme, just like oh my god. And my husband heard me like moaning like that, and he's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, no problem, oh, everything is okay. And then he goes away and it's like, oh. And I thought, oh, it must sound a bit yeah, it must sound a bit crazy, but really nothing much is happening in a way. It's okay, because actually that is not such a bad feeling, the fatigue. If you can rest, it's okay.
Nice. Yeah.
And then that was also over, and that was also very strange. It just came like extreme waves of fatigue. That was yesterday. And
Beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The body will just feel really tired and then it'll have energy. And it's just so obvious that it's not
It's
in,
energetic.
yeah. Yeah.
Something else is going on. There's no, like, the cause is not what we think. There's
Mhm.
the level of the cause is not there in that thinking or the timeline or the, like, it's here, right? The timeline is here, kind of, or it's like now. It
Yeah.
isn't. It wasn't, and it isn't.
Beautiful.
In a way, there's a. It's now and it's alive, and
Mhm.
there is something. There's always, but it's not. Um, the words are just so minuscule, kind of, to explain that, or to try to put it to words to just what's perceived in a way, or what's felt or known, or like what's there. It's not.
It's
It's
not,
so much, and there's nothing to say about it. There's no,
yeah. It's like
like,
irrelevant.
yeah, you could really take a small section and write 10 books about it, and then your life is over. Because you spend all your time, like
Writing a
you
book
know,
about it.
writing a book about
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and, and there's really like so I think I've had very strong sensitivity my whole life, and it was stronger when I was very small, and then I think I cut it off. And uh, some of that sensitivity, so it has been gradually re-emerging, and uh, there is there are many strange things that are happening, but it isn't, I don't know what it is. And I have had like energetic blocks to perceiving it somehow. Like I kind of have put up uh, protection to not feel it. And those are kind of, so I see a lot of things, I feel a lot of things. There's some things I cannot explain what they are, but I don't know what it is. And it's also a bit like there's a bird flying by, or there's a shape of something going by, and I don't know. There's no difference in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of another field, just of
Nice.
perceiving somehow, and I don't know how deep that goes, or what that means even. It's
Yeah.
just obvious that the thinking part is just like, I'm definitely, that's much more interesting, kind of the reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thinking and the thoughts are just like meow, 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 meow. This is what's happening. This is
Yeah.
what everything is. This is anything.
Yeah.
But it can't touch.
Oh my God, just can't. It's a weird thing, and then that we lived inside there, completely immersed inside that.
Totally. Isn't it crazy?
That is wild.
Yeah.
That's really wild. Yeah, no wonder that we're sick. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that there's illness and sickness and mm,
I mean, a
that's
lot of yeah, it's like it's pretty much absolute chaos. And you think that you're in charge and putting order to things, but it's an explosion, and you're really thinking that you're like you're living your life and making it your way, and this is right.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
I'm really getting somewhere, but it's like a complete bomb the whole time.
Yeah, you think that you're getting somewhere until shit hits the fan. You think you're kind of have your, so it's kind of,
Convincing. It's really convincing.
yeah, yeah. Oh my God. Mm.
It is kind of amazing that you actually do and are able to perceive the order and the this is actually what's happening. That's actually amazing that that can happen. But you're right, when it becomes a little more obvious that, yeah, shit hits the fan, things start to fall apart. And
Yeah,
then, but but it's still only circumstantial that you feel like, oh, that circumstance was kind
yeah,
of,
it caused it.
yeah,
That caused it. Yeah,
right. It still
yeah,
makes sense within your solid
yeah,
knowing of stuff.
yeah. Wow.
Or you still learn how to dig yourself out of it because of therapy and coaches
Yeah.
and spiritual teachers
Oh
and
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Maybe even earlier, kind of earlier in the descent,
Yeah.
kind of when nothing's working anymore somehow.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that uh uh like I was thinking about that uh I guess it's, so I really thought that everyone had that real drive to to the drive to whatever it is, kind of, I can't even call it anything, to to, to get out or to see the truth, or mm, for me it was always, what is this whole thing, what is this thing, what is the everything, what is this? And I thought that everyone had that, and I guess that's, I don't know why it seems like some people have that and other people don't have that, and I seems like it's more about that, whether this is happening or not, because that's never content, or it does, that feeling doesn't go away until it goes away, I guess.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah, and that the I don't know, and there's nothing to judge, kind of, because I really don't know why some people have that and others don't have that,
Exactly.
and then it's also like a respect of the freedom to, for people to live, even if it's bad
Yeah.
in a way, like there is something like um mm, and there is a sense that there can be more on, not understanding but more seeing here, just deeper seeing, increasingly, and who knows how, who knows what this is, we don't know what this is,
Yeah.
we don't know what it all is.
No. Yeah. But there's just more and more unknowing, and it's yeah, it's hard to use any word, but um yeah, it's gorgeous. Even when it's like, oh fuck, it's horrible to see like the
Yeah,
real reality of things, but I think when it's digested and it's processed, then it's like, wow, like the body
yeah,
can be clear of that stuff.
yeah,
And it's not special, it's very ordinary, it's very
Yeah.
down to earth, so-called. Well, the earth isn't here really, but you know what I mean. It's not like
I know.
supernatural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
It's the end of making this out of something. It's just this. That's it. So
Yeah,
simple.
there wasn't something before and there is nothing after in a way. There isn't that time line, isn't there?
Yeah, it's always been this way, always. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, somehow the body was able to perceive that there was a ton of shit happening.
Mm-hmm. Weird, huh?
It's miraculous. I don't know.
It's very weird. That is weird. As I was talking with my husband about that just the other day, about maybe like when we were born, it's just like likely more just this energy, felt energy, field experience. You feel maybe already in the womb, you feel where you what you are in a way, and you maybe just take on that felt separation from your mother and from your surroundings. You just in that field, you just take it on, and then all the thoughts and all the things that go with that somehow.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah, there must be something about leaving the mom's body that creates a kind of shock and a so-called trauma of like what just happened.
what the hell is going on?
Yeah. Uh and it's all a story and it's all like I don't actually know,
I don't know either.
but yeah, with babies, when you really see a baby, it's so empty. It doesn't know what it's
Yeah,
looking at. It doesn't know what it is, and it's not
yeah,
making anything out of anything, and it can scream like hell, and it's still not a problem for it.
yeah,
It's just like
yeah. Or like squeeze. Have you felt them squeezing? They can squeeze so hard, so long. Just like, and you can kind of feel they're not efforting anything. It's just this strength that they're squeezing, kind of.
yeah.
Yeah, it's on the level of level of thinking. It's not the best you can say is a mystery. The words you use mystery, kind of. We don't know what we can't say anything really about it.
No.
No.
Yeah.
And for you, it just keeps kind of deepening. Like things keep shifting.
Yeah.
Would you say that it's the perception, kind of, in a way?
Um, I still think that there were subtle levels of thoughts and ideas and beliefs um
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't know were there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh even so the idea of relationships, friendship, a healthy person, like all of those started to disappear. Like the really even the fundamental ways of being a human, it started
Yeah.
to dissolve. So um
Uh-huh. Like what? Like being.
well, so even being in uh like a partnership or something,
Mm-hmm.
I think it just
Mm-hmm.
doesn't make sense to me anymore. It's not that, so I don't know why I still talk to my friend and it's quite it just happens. It just happens.
Yeah.
I literally can't say anything on top of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
um yeah, I don't know. I started to kind of, so I think as a story, this is how I can describe it. So like when the body is processing layers and layers of everything, there's still the outer shell of what you thought was real. There's still
Mm.
like the
Mhm.
outer ways of distinguishing things. It's very subtle. It's very um translucent.
Yeah.
And then I think when the body really empties out, even that shell kind of
Mm.
softens. So even the outer layer of that can just disappear. And I
Mm.
didn't force it. It just happened
Mhm.
naturally. It didn't feel crazy. It didn't feel, oh no, I'm losing something. It was just like, oh, that too wasn't
Okay.
reality.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
and so now it's really like just just space. I don't even know if that's the right word, but
Yeah. Mhm.
so the I could really see how the sense of loneliness, it dictated how the body functioned and what relationships it wanted and the ways in which it got security in that way. Even though it's healthy in the normal sense in society, it's healthy to do
Mm.
that. So
Mm.
I'm not saying anything bad about it. It's just that
Yeah.
it was a shock to me that that could go. And therefore, you don't need that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So you don't use food in the same way. You don't use sex in the same way. You don't
Mm.
use anything in the same way. It's
Yeah.
very subtle. It's very biological.
Mhm.
It's calm.
Yeah. Mm.
It's so unbelievably simple. Like how this body functions now, it's so unbelievably like ridiculously simple. And it's harder to distinguish like sleeping, awake, working, going for a walk, lying
Yeah.
down, or in nature, in the home. Like that sense of distinguishing is not even, that even has fallen away.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. I can see that would likely be when it gets more and more fine and more space already. The denser stuff is kind of occupying the perception, so you don't really perceive that until the denser stuff, like the densest stuff, goes first, and then it gets kind of finer and finer and finer and finer, and
Exactly.
all of it somehow is
Yeah, and the body still functions. It's just like
weird. That's weird.
it's totally fine. I mean, it will go through stuff. I think especially when
Yeah.
it's processing stuff, it might feel very
Yeah.
alarming. But yeah, it's totally fine.
Mm. You can handle it somehow. I guess the places where we get into trouble a bit is following some of those thoughts, or that at least seems to me that's more where you can get in more difficulty, kind of.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of different ways you could get stuck.
Yeah.
Um, there were some foundational things that was still me. I didn't, so you never know that it's there until it leaves.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I saw more recently was that there was this very foundational, it almost felt like the person is a very thick bubble. It doesn't know that it's the bubble only. And it's this tiny compared to everything. But it feels very thick. And then so it felt like when you're processing, the bubble is getting thinner and thinner. Everything is getting thinner and thinner. But the bubble itself, at least for here, it might vary for everyone. It was still, I'm good. I'm doing the good thing. I'm still the good.
Ah,
It's not even a person. It's not even a girl.
ah,
It's not even, it's just, I'm good. And I'm also right.
ah,
Whatever this is doing, whatever it believes, whatever, there was an underlying I'm right.
ah,
And when that popped, it was like, whoa. So even the people that are doing good, they think that they're right and doing good are the same as the people who are evil and doing harm.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
coming from the exact same, but they
yeah,
think that they're really right.
yeah.
But that the energy is
Underneath,
is coming from such blindness, like it can't see anything.
yeah,
It can't see the harm that it's doing. It can't even
yeah.
admit the harm that it does because it's way
Mm.
too, I'm right.
Oh yeah.
So that's what I saw. It was like, holy shit, this was doing the exact same thing that I was hating in another.
Yeah.
It was doing the exact same thing, but I really could not see it like at all. And
Mm.
so therefore there was no blame, there was no judgment because it's like you cannot see it until it goes. It's just
Mm.
impossible, literally impossible.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Mm. That is, I mean, I think about that sometimes with the like with on the spiritual path with all the teachers, like all the teachers who kind of claim uh, to know the end. Oh, I just realized, am I very dark? Do you see me?
Yeah, I
Okay.
see. It's okay. Yeah.
Okay. I thought that uh, like I get truly disgusted now
I know. Yeah.
by um so I can understand that it's on a level innocent. I do understand that because theirs is as lost as anyone else. But uh the level of harm that it's doing because there's so many people spending time and money, their life even.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
They
their
might
whole,
just they might instead have gotten a car or a house or something nice for themselves, and then they spend the money
the
and their
next,
time and their heart, kind of their their search into a dead end, into a person who says that I know. And it's so when there's this deflection of uh, like all this ugly stuff that's happening in those spaces where the person who is like the guru is like this cultish, you feel like you can't be yourself, you feel like you can't say what you're actually thinking, you cannot be what you actually are. And that's kind of like the biggest red flag, I think now. Like if you are with someone and you cannot be and feel exactly what you are, what you
beautiful.
have in you, go away,
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
leave,
Yeah.
get save that money that you spend there and buy yourself an apartment. Do
Yeah.
something else with the money, kind of,
Yeah.
and time and the time.
Yeah. I appreciate you saying that because
Yeah.
they're doing a lot of harm, even psychological harm that they do not see.
Mm.
because they're full of motives, and
Mm.
every teacher is different, but like I can see the real twistedness that it creates in the person. And it's giving you so much hope, and there's no hope in this. This is
Yeah.
It's feeding you so much more conditioning and ways to be and right and wrong, and you should act like this, don't react. Like it's suppressing you to a degree that's like you have no idea.
Yeah, it's so because they also place themselves at the level of God, kind of that structure of belief that the highest, all these words, the highest, and this is the highest and the best and the, you know, and the person who is like tragically suffering, searching for a way out, uh, could get completely stuck in that their whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it gets pretty dangerous when I mean everyone is vulnerable, but yeah,
Mm.
when you're truly traumatized and you really
Yeah.
cannot see that stuff,
Mm.
or it actually feels familiar to you, it actually feels okay,
Yeah, yeah. This trauma, like a
Yeah.
memory of your own trauma in a way, reliving someone above you, kind of. Yeah. But
Yeah.
also this need for somebody to
Dictate
have
your
that authority, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
To have when you're so used to having that authority, like everywhere there is that authority, kind of, and you're so used to being small and being not the one who knows, and then sorry, but the worst of the people become these leaders in a way. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but I
Don't
really
be
think
sorry.
that
Yeah.
I don't want to, but I do feel like uh mm, I feel now that like I've always returned and like looked up certain people that I used to listen to just to check how I see them now. It's such an
Mm.
interesting thing to do. I just play it, and then it's like uh I don't want to name any names, but I realized that the whole time I was watching the last clip that I did that with was my face was like
Yeah. Yeah.
like, oh shit.
I know.
And just the tragedy of the people who are like asking questions or are really honestly looking in a way, and then finding a figure that is just abusive.
Yeah. Yeah. So
It's a
will
real shame.
Yeah, very willing to take advantage, and um
Make money,
yeah,
have power. Mm,
yeah, have fame, recognition.
mm, mm.
Um yeah. Yeah, and then it can get to a point where people can't say anything because there's way too much safeguards for them, So,
Totally traumatized by the also by the group through that one individual, traumatized by that group, like a collective harassment situation
yeah,
dictated by that one person.
it's very cult-like.
Yeah, that's really like culty,
Yeah.
cult stuff.
Yeah. And that, I
Yeah.
mean, it's society in general. It's like, but it's like a micro example of that, an extreme example of it where you cannot be
Mm,
yourself, you cannot
mm,
express, you have to follow, you have to be like the leader.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what I feel is so tragic about that in this spiritual sphere is that it's like it's so intimate, it's so personal. It's that many people have that longing to some extent who are trying to find an answer or find a way, and then the reflection is just this uh I mean, on some level it is a personal responsibility somehow, or not a responsibility, but like the way is not through another person somehow. The way is through yourself. or through your what's there in you. But I don't know how much harm that has done through the millennia, through all this religious stuff and all that, like in our minds of this God, symbol of God, this authority, and then some person kind of emulating that whole thing is just to be blown up a bit.
Yeah.
That's not, that isn't, that we don't need it, that we
Beautiful.
definitely don't need that. We don't need it. We just need, I don't know what we need, but
Well, it's similar to equality. It's similar to
yeah,
no differentiation, no
yeah,
ability to set us apart from another.
mm,
Um, you know, equality is
we're the
not the right
same.
word, but yeah, the same. It's,
We're the same.
yeah,
Yeah, it's all the same.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just obvious. I think I didn't. So I have met someone uh like that before, but it was seeing your videos that was really like a whoa. Okay. Uh, shit. Uh,
Yeah,
like
someone has to say it directly in order for you to be like, oh shit, sometimes, you know?
yeah, no, I think I just saw it. I just you didn't even say it.
Oh, okay.
You were it was
Nice.
other things. I just sort of realized that
Nice.
that that uh that uh like the programming is so hard that the further you get on the path, the more authority and the more power you will have.
Totally. Yeah.
Like that's the programming, and then seeing so clearly the truth that no, that it's rather less distinction, more open. It's not uh, judgment. There's no judgment. There is no there is no needing from that person. You know, they need just as much as those who are sitting and underneath kind of need, and that there is none of that. And you can easily feel that. I felt like inside myself, I felt like I wish I could tell everyone that if you feel like you cannot be yourself, or uh, if you feel like you're being judged when you express what's really there, leave. Go, go. Trust yourself.
Yeah,
Trust yourself. Trust
totally.
your trust yourself and the little voice that's or the sense that like, ooh, something's not right. Trust that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, yeah,
The thing about this stuff is, yeah, I totally agree with you. You have to always prioritize yourself no matter what.
yeah,
Um, if there is a longing for the dissolving of the distinctions, of the ability for the body to really distinguish and judge, then y the familiar reality will be confronted, and so it can be challenging in that way.
yeah,
But if it's coming from a very arrogant place of I know, you can tell when it feels really off. And and
yeah,
at least for me, like emotionally, you should be validated. Like we've been so wounded in society because I mean
yeah.
it's absolutely crazy. So
Oh,
there's so much
mm,
twistedness that has developed over time, a lot of rock hardness,
mm,
protectiveness, and if there's a good
mm,
understanding of that stuff and an allowance for that stuff, that is healthy. Like the idea of healthy, I think is good
yeah,
until it goes, you know?
yeah,
Um, Yeah, so I think that's where the mix up can happen as well a little bit. Like you can think that this person's really special because they can't um it's like a mixture. You can't tell that they're super arrogant even though they're telling you all the answers and they know and they
Yeah,
understand and you don't. And um at least I can tell when it comes from arrogance, but I understand that when you're more contracted, it's just hard to tell, you know?
yeah,
Um, but yeah,
yeah. I really don't know what's right either, because in a way, like I went through that whole, went from there to there to there to there to there. Luckily, I very quickly felt like, no, not, this is not the thing. I started to get that, what is that?
mm,
No, this cannot be the thing. But I kept like going from person to person. So in a way, uh, it's also, but I honestly don't know. It could also just be that it's been stuck like that for millennia, you know, that it's always been in a way wrong, like that it's just been doing that without any purpose, you know, like
yeah, humanity itself is doing that, yeah,
looping,
appearing
stuck.
that way.
Yeah,
So it's not meaning like it's not just spiritual leaders. You know how you said like the worst of them get at the top?
yeah,
In a way, I can sort of agree just because there needs to be a lot of ambition and power and
mm,
force to want to be up there. Like a lot of
yeah,
motives and agendas why you want to be up there, you know?
yeah, definitely.
Um, and that's the case everywhere.
Mm.
In so-called presidents. I mean, they're in a way they're all the same. We think they're different and we think we have a choice, but it's
No, it's, I mean, when it comes to that part of the world, I don't pay attention to it at all anymore.
yeah.
I've just absolutely turned away from it. There's nothing there other than like some freaky circus show, like on the news or what's kind of presented, and it's just like it's so like puppets fake. It's just so fake.
Yeah.
It's so weird to watch, and it's like, hey, like, do people really think this is like, I can't even remember I can't remember how it, like, can't remember how it feels to be like believing in it somehow.
I know. Yeah.
Like
Or like
believing in that
interested.
boop, 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 the talk, like news, like also the tones of the voice and the presentation and the whole thing is just like, is this like, is this a parody? I thought many times this has to be a parody, and it's like, no, this is the real news.
Yeah.
It's like, oh goodness.
Yeah. Yeah. You could see the fakeness a lot more easily. But that's the same with spiritual leaders. That's
That's
what
what
they're
I
doing.
mean.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Exactly. That's what
Yeah.
I mean. It was just a bit, uh, it's just a bit more sneaky.
Sneaky.
Yeah.
I can
And
understand.
hidden, and like, because you can emulate a lot of compassion. You can emulate a lot of
Totally.
like embody certain things and still uh be coming from a destructive place, a negative place of need,
Mhm.
that you need the other person to worship you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And they'll say certain things to keep you, keep you coming back,
I
keep
mean,
coming
oh
back.
God, that's when my face goes like,
I know. Because
oh,
yeah, back then you might have not been able to tell, but now it's so obvious when they're kind of feeding you little things to brainwash you or keep you like you have to either you have to be really dedicated or you have to be committed. Yeah, I don't know what they say. They say a lot of different things.
Yeah. We don't do that here was the last thing I heard. When somebody asked a question and then blah, 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 there was an answer. Yeah, what you're doing there is a kind of analysis, and we don't do that here. And I was like, we? Who is we? And what is this? And it's just like, cult. Next.
It's
That's
fun.
so culty.
Yeah.
It's just the end of it. Just like that is, I mean, that is sad. I think that's sad.
I know. I was really horrified and disgusted and grieving and sad and yeah, because it you think that you're waking up because you think that you're getting out of the craziness of society, but you're building a new world, a new delusion, a new fantasy world. That's all that's happening. So when you see that that's still a dream as well, it's super devastating. It's like, what have I invested in and who have I believed and how much energy and yeah, a lot of belief in the leader, what they were saying. And again, they have no idea. They have no idea. Otherwise, if they really, really knew, there wouldn't be the energy to pretend to do that. Unless you're a psychopath. I don't know how you would be able to pretend because it's way too fake now. It's just like the energy's gone, you know?
Yeah. I think that they exist too. I don't know if they are so much on that spiritual path, but generally, like politics, like the rest of the world, let's say, for sure. I think there's a lot of psychopaths on top.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That it's just willingly, knowingly, and consciously done. From
yeah. I mean the other thing about this is that they can think that it is conscious, that they are aware of what they're doing, but it's like a mountain of gunk that is making the body think and believe and do. It's really convinced that it potentially this is right or this is doing good or who knows exactly. It's crazy.
Yeah, what that even is. Yeah, what that even is. That's psychopath. That thing. We don't even know what that is somehow. And it's how that works, I don't know. Yeah, we have to, I guess we have to see it. We have to recognize it and we have to get out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that would, nothing happens when we don't play along. Yeah. Or believe in it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's also it can be very refreshing to see it all clearly for what it is. And yeah, it's just like
yeah, I think it's I wonder what that it cannot be so common that people are really out of it.
Oh, it's not common at all, I don't think.
Because there would be more people who talked about it or somehow could reflect something else.
I can see why people don't talk about it, because then it also becomes not important after a while, because like it's not just spiritual teachers, it's everyone. Every person is doing that. So
Yeah.
when you see that, then and you
Mm.
see that it's um
Mm. Mm.
there's in a way there's nothing you can do about it. You yourself can empty out and
Yeah.
see it clearly,
Mm.
but it's if you're on about changing all of humanity and how
No.
it's just that way, like how the
Mm.
body creates this solidity and
Yeah.
objectification and knowing and ownership and mine and you and me, and if you're
Mm.
about like changing all of that, like
No
that's
way.
part of the dream as well.
No.
um but I can recognize when I hear someone now, it's
Mm.
very clear if they're on the other side or not. it's just
Yeah.
it's just clear.
Yeah.
So
I
that
think that's what's so weird, kind of. That's like the realization that okay, that's
mhm.
not common. That's not,
It's
at
not
least like you say that, but maybe it's like that you don't really want to say anything anymore. Maybe there's a lot of people,
yeah, maybe.
and but they just don't say anything, or even that they don't have. Like I've met somebody which I thought like, hey, this is weird. Like also the words that were coming out just sounded like it was so empty, but it was very trivial, or it was like, and I felt like I wonder if there is may not even be cognition kind of it, or like the words or any like mental understanding of something may not even be there at all.
Yeah, that's possible,
Mm.
because it's so ordinary. I could see how, yeah, things can just like really gradually fall away or whatever, and it's just like, yeah, it's always been this way. It's nothing special.
Yeah, you don't even remember. Maybe you don't even have any kind of
Yeah,
story that you could bring back up and sort of piece together,
exactly.
and it's just has fallen away, and maybe there's a vague sense of something that was, but maybe I don't know, not,
Mm-hmm.
because that's really how it feels like, the, how it feels, something that goes, and then I can't even remember what that was like, or what that was.
Exactly.
It's just gone.
Yeah.
So maybe on that it's nice to kind of uh that there is someone talking about it. Maybe that's kind of the end of
Mm.
that. It's nice that there are words put to it, that it's someone's talking about it, to kind of uh that it's out there.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if I didn't talk about it, I would totally I think it would just go from the memory, like
Yeah.
easily everything would just come up and go and come up and go and it'd be lost.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
and
think that
you kind of record it, or you documented it also. That's what's so funny.
exactly.
That is quite cool in a way, that
Yeah.
you've kept like the thread somehow through that whole process, and that can be very useful somehow, when, because the story that we have now is so distorted about the spiritual stuff,
Mm.
and that can be really useful to, when it resonates back to that, if that that sense inside, that you just yourself have that inner energy to keep at it, kind of. You just know that there's something else, and then that there is some reflection of another story, kind of, that
Mm.
is more that is more uh maybe more, um out of a story that is more out of compassion for that process.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That's really beautifully put. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely like what I've recorded, I would never say it like that now, but I like that it has been recorded and that, you know, it did constantly change here. And yeah, it's
Yeah, but
for
it's funny because some of those things you said before, I have felt did resonate.
mm-hmm,
Because people are, there is something similar, I think, at least for certain types of people, maybe people who are more similar to you or in the background or something,
mm,
and that has also moments of, oh yeah, that was, okay, and you have words, you have good words that you put to it, kind of, so it's like, ah, I'm not a freak.
yeah.
I'm not alone, or it's
Yeah.
like, even if it's because you've spoken of it from honesty, it's not like, uh, you spoke honestly from where you were,
Mm,
and I think that's what keeps it maybe relevant for whoever is wherever, kind of
nice.
on that way of the different density, different themes, different. I think that's really a good thing.
Mm. Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think one of the main things here was wanting to see like the motives and agendas here and wanting it not to be a priority. It's not that
Yeah.
I made it bad because every person has their stuff. It's just that there was a willingness to see it and not speak
Yeah.
from there, you know. That
Yeah.
wasn't the priority. It was just what was authentically here.
Mm.
Um and I don't think that happens with most people. And I'm not judging them. I'm just saying that I think that was the difference because
Yeah.
when it comes from an agenda and a motive to build something for yourself
Yeah.
and it's goal
Yeah.
oriented and you see a purpose,
You're inside the same
yeah,
thing as
it
everyone.
doesn't,
Mm.
you're not out of the dream at all. You're not dissolving at
It's not
all.
it's not helping also anything, yourself or anyone.
Yeah.
I think that's what's helpful with the, like, that it is felt or it is perceived that it's not coming from that place, and that alone is kind of scrambles the system, kind of. The seeing that alone is like, oh, the computer goes calculatically. What?
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. I think that's really cool.
Oh, I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I appreciate it too. I really appreciate it too.
Mm,
Like sometimes the words can also be the last little piece, kind of, before something. Sometimes that happens too.
nice.
I've seen that happen too, kind of.
Mhm.
Something has changed, and then there's some little thing that, but it isn't really about the words either.
Yeah. It's totally about
You
where it's coming from.
Yeah, really, that's it.
Yeah,
It's really that, and we see that even if we are not cognizant of it, if we don't
exactly.
think that, if we see it, it has an impact, kind of, that it's not, um, this person doesn't want anything from me.
Mhm. Yeah, isn't
There's
trying to
no,
trap you somehow.
it's not trying to lure me into a
Sticky
something.
web. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I never wanted that for myself, so it
yeah,
was impossible for me to do that to someone else, you know?
yeah, yeah. I think I have wanted that
Yeah, I'm not saying I
earlier.
didn't want that before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
because
can see where it's coming from.
there's a lot more fear and
Yeah,
loneliness, and that energy, yeah, of course it wants safety somehow in all
yeah,
of these different ways,
yeah, yeah. Control or safety or
Yeah.
approval.
Wanting
Mm.
permanency in something. Like, tell me you'll be
Yeah.
with me forever.
Oh my God. How can I make you sit here and worship me forever?
Mhm.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, and we do know that. We do. I think there is something that knows when that's happening.
Yeah, I agree.
But people don't, but we don't trust ourselves to kind of, or it's not, there's so much programming that who am I? And you're just a small, insignificant person. And these people are, look at them, they have weird clothing on and they behave so poised, or they have some kind of an air about them, and they were programmed to think that that's the thing, uh, or powerful presence or energy, or I have been with a lot of weird characters in searching for,
Yeah.
like, looking for it kind of, and also had experiences, but always left because it wasn't, and in the end that we don't need it.
Exactly.
We just are fully capable of just,
Being totally
it's
on your
made so yeah, it's made so complicated, it's made so complex on that human, on that mental, in that
Yeah,
mental level, within that, it is so complex, and we're so just trapped in that.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I it's sad that what they're doing is talking about freedom, but entrapping you, you know?
That is the thing that is, for me, absolutely tragic,
Yeah.
because they take that position also of God, kind of, or like of the highest, or all those concepts, and then um,
Yeah, it's based on fear again, keeping you small, the same.
it's just the same.
And it just gives you experiences and glimpses, and
Yeah,
you think that that's it. You think you're getting somewhere. You think
yeah.
yeah.
I was with a really big guru, a really famous. I won't name any names, and I had a big experience there. But after that experience, I immediately left because I saw they cannot. This is a whole, what a weird thing this is. They're just doing that over and over in the same structure that's kind of just spinning there. I have no idea what, but that's not the way.
Nice.
Yeah. And it was also in that experience, as that was happening to me, I had interaction with that guru. And in retrospect, he there was an attempt to shame me in that experience, kind
Oh,
of. That was so, but I was in that moment, it wasn't, I was not, I cannot even explain what that experience was, but the in retrospect, I feel like, even even when you do have something opening and something is seen, or you have an experience, let's say, they will try to claim it, kind of.
mm.
They claim that somehow, as
That they were responsible for that.
they
That
were
they did that.
responsible.
Yeah.
So what I saw, I saw that had to do with the field of people there, and everyone was in that same. There was like a lot of longing, a lot of this other quality there, and I felt much more. I attributed it much more to everyone who was present
Mm.
that was happening to me, because I actually thought I was dying, and I thought my heart was like pounding out this far out of my chest, and I thought, I don't know what's happening, but I felt like I could let go or not. That was the experience, and I thought, if I am dying, there's like 300 people here. I'm sure somebody knows the CPR. So let's just risk it. Let's just see what happens, kind of. And then something let go, and that was I had already let go of that guru. I was already kind of on my way out,
Mm.
and so I didn't care anymore. But I was in that space with all those people,
I see.
and I think that's much more powerful somehow.
Yeah, yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah,
You're not
yeah,
chained.
yeah.
Mm. That's gorgeous.
Hmm. So I don't know what I saw there was was what, or what that, if I explain that experience, and I don't know if that what that was, or I didn't even think too much about it. I just left there. I just left it, and um, but what I do think about now increasingly, kind of, my mind goes increasingly back to it now because it somehow feels more relevant. That uh, at at that point, I had nothing to do. I had nothing to do with anything. The physical body, the thoughts and the feelings was all the same, like objects, like a table. And
Nice.
my personality was like a table in
Nice.
relevance, kind of was not important, kind of anything more than anything else.
Mm.
And my personality was going crazy in the corner, kind of.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And I really didn't understand that. And I never heard this non-dual non-dual message, or this radical message, kind of. And that actually more sounds like that in a way.
Yeah.
Or what you're talking about is more like that mm, it all operates on its own. It has nothing to do with me.
Beautiful. Yeah. It's
Mm.
programming. That's it. There's no one behind it.
It's more like I wasn't eating popcorn, but it's a bit, almost a bit more like a sense of just like,
Yeah.
and we do that anyway. When I look at the door, there's nothing special about that door. But when I look at this body and the feelings in this body, or it's not even in the body, the personality or the thoughts, that's like, oh, that's
Mhm.
has something.
Yeah.
But they in that in there, there's no difference. Kind of,
Yeah. Beautifully
it's not
said.
more relevant.
Yeah. It's not more
Yeah,
special.
no, it's like a table, really, like like another object that is like doing something, or is there,
Yeah.
and it's just seen. And when like I tried to explain that after to people close to me, and I was saying the best words I could find was just home beyond home, peace beyond peace, so at ease, nothing kind of to do.
Mm.
There's just nothing. There is no.
Nowhere to go. Nothing to
There's
improve.
nothing to do.
Yeah.
Nothing to do, and it's all seen
Hmm.
somehow.
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah.
Yep. Full stop. That's it.
Do you have those? So I thought sometimes I want to ask you if you have that. Do you have that experience that your body is just kind of doing on its own, kind of like it goes and does things and has nothing to do with you?
That's how it is.
Wow.
That's all that's happening. It's just doing.
That's so mad because I never I never really I never really had that explanation or heard someone say that somehow,
Mm.
that it's just like on its own doing it kind of.
Yeah, totally, completely. Does everything
I,
on its own.
I, I resonate also with what you said before with those distinctions with the like this is happening and then this is happening kind of the I can understand that there is a sub there is a I understand what that direction is kind of that it's not distinguished as more relevant something
Mm.
anymore. And then it all more becomes like a so in that experience that I had, it was almost like separate from me in that experience. Or at least I was uh very clear that I'm not mixed up in any of that.
I understand. Yeah.
So then it seemed like it's like
A little separate. Yeah.
a kind of a separation. Do you think that that's like a I thought lately that maybe that's also kind of a stage or like a phase, and that there can be also because that was just for me like a extreme dive into it for a short period of time, and now it feels like a gradual kind of and that direction is there, but I can also feel like that's likely also not the it would make sense that there is a
Beautiful.
deepening from there too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do
So
you is
the
that
yeah, I noticed that the noticing, I in my early in some videos before, I would still mention a noticing. And the
mm-hmm,
noticing still wasn't really separate from everything, but there was still a noticing that everything's just happening,
yeah
regardless of what it is.
mm-hmm,
And it's
ah,
impersonal. But
mm-hmm.
more and more recently, I cannot say there's a noticing anymore. I don't know what that is. It all completely
Oh,
flattened. It's just simply what's happening. And I do not know what is happening. There's nothing that knows.
thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, oh, so nice to talk to you.
Yeah, you as well.
Appreciate it very much.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing everything. That was
Yeah.
gorgeous. It's a huge thing to say those things, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, because I do think that's where most people are stuck. They just stay on the spiritual path forever. It's fine.
Mm.
You're allowed to, but if you really want the truth, which isn't special or meaningful, that word is empty. But if you really just
Mm.
want real freedom, it's not in the spiritual communities and path and leader.
Mm. Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's I think it's good that it's being said. It just feels also, it feels good to say it
Totally.
and to hear someone say it is also, I think a lot of people have that intuition. People have that sense that it's wrong. Yeah. I think we know a lot. We do know a lot. The way, like we do know. Or the body knows, the energy kind of knows it. So it's like
Something's off. Yeah.
something's off, and it's like when there's this shrinking response to someone's energy,
I totally agree. Yeah.
potentially maybe it's not so good, kind of.
Yeah, maybe something's a little off.
Or your yeah, the programs of shrinking at best are activated, and we can give space to that rather
Beautiful.
than sitting with that person, kind of, than seeing how insecure, how we believe in or have faith, kind of, or trust in ourselves and in our own the natural unfolding, because it's not like ourselves like in the head, it's like ourselves like energy a bit, and that goes on regardless of the head talking. The energy is doing it already, kind of, and we don't have to understand it somehow, or know that we know where we are going, or know that what's the next thing. And there is something that has nothing to do with the words that's happening,
Beautiful.
and that is happening even with the words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Suzanne. Thank you, everybody, for. I just realized that there are other people.
Other people, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Everyone's
I
listening.
talked a lot. I'm so sorry. I talked a lot.
No, that was gorgeous. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, me too. I really appreciate also that it's possible to say these things
Yeah. Yeah, isn't it freeing? It's just,
to someone,
yeah.
you know. That is kind of great. Yeah. That is free. Yeah, it's freeing. It kind of feels freer.
Yeah. Because it's,
Yeah.
it's the truth that we never needed to follow anyone. And
Yeah. Wow. All that energy, kind of, we don't need to waste it there.
yeah.
Yeah. Rather doing something nice for ourselves, actually, for our body, for our life. Investing in something that makes us more love ourselves somehow in that.
That's sweet.
Yeah. Buy an apartment. I thought people who go there go year after year after year at retreats, at all that stuff, where there is no end. It's no end. There's a dead end with that person. And then over the years, you could have likely bought yourself an apartment.
Yeah, which is also not the answer, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not the answer, but it just, that would have been more valuable. That would, or a car, or like a holiday in the Maldives or something. Yeah, just a joke, but
I understand though. If you're spending years and years just, yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
Suzanne, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you too. It was so nice. So nice to
Yeah,
speak with you.
very nice to speak with you too.
All right. Well, sorry I didn't get to other people. Yeah. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.